Welcome to Y11 Audio, Ipsy's college football podcast and your home for year-round EMU coverage. I'm Alex Alvarado. Thank you for listening. If you're a returning listener, I appreciate you subscribing. If you're new here, hey, now's a good time to do so. Again, I appreciate your continued support. As you know, I have been to Eastern's football practices. Not all of them have been open. I haven't been to one since Friday. This is Monday morning as we record. Monday early afternoon, actually. The last camp I've been to was on Friday. It was their 9th practice. Monday, they just wrapped up their 11th. So there is some action that I haven't been able to see that I have some missed. As many notes as I have, they're not totally complete, and they weren't going to be, right? That was never going to be the game. But I have been to the practices. A lot of people who you probably know in the media have not. So if you're looking for Eastern football coverage that is very careful and is delicate and actually cares about, not so much about the wins and loss part about Eastern Michigan, but the coverage of it, the understanding of it, the telling of Eastern football through the eyes of not the university. Because I'm not directly affiliated with the university in any way. I'm doing this totally independently. If you want great coverage of it, if you want to hear more of what's going on in practice, to hear more of the voices, hear more of the sounds like you just did to open the show, and you're going to hear more throughout the show. If you want to hear and know more about Eastern Michigan football, Eastern Michigan athletics, this newsletter, this podcast, this is definitely going to be the way to go. Check out Y11.com, check out this podcast, subscribe. You know how to do all the signups. Just hit all the buttons. Just turn on all the notifications. Bing, bang, boom. www.turnoneverynotification.com. But no, you don't really have to do that. Just head over to the newsletter. Sign up for the free updates. At some point, I'm going to put up a paywall. But I need to figure out what my balance of everything's going to be. Because I really do value having most, if not all, of everything I write just available and open. I think there's a huge importance to it. But I also think that I have bills to pay, and I also think that I'm doing a lot of hard work that you want to see out of a lot of other media outlets, and I want to fill that void. I have been wanting to, and now I'm really pushing forward all the effort that I have to make it all possible. And hopefully so far I've been able to show that through my newsletter, my podcast. So your support, right now it's free. I don't have anything set up until I feel comfortable rolling out a real plan that I can explain coherently. Right now I'm just not there yet. I just wanted to let you know that'll eventually be the plan. But until then, please enjoy everything for 100% free. And please, if you have friends that love Eastern Michigan sports, if you love friends that love action, etc., send them our way. It'll be fun. I'm looking to grow, of course, for this community. So far, it's been, the size of it, it doesn't really matter. What does matter is that everybody that signed up loves what they've signed up for so far. And they really love the discussion matter, because this is a discussion matter that you're not going to just see on The Athletic every day or ESPN or your local newspaper. Anyways, that's the short of those announcements. I didn't mean to start out too heavy there, but that is that. Just wanted to make you aware. What you will see on Ipsy11.com right now, I'm still going through weekly positional previews. Last one I did was defensive line after I did offensive line before that. And then I did the whole offense. Right now I just have a couple more things on defense to do. I got linebackers and special teams coming up this week. Then I have defensive backs rolling out next week. And then we are looking at the start of the season, which I am very, very excited for. Yeah, man, Backyard Brawl's coming. I know that's not action, but that's one of the first, opening week games that I'm super, super excited for. Because, I love Eastern football and all that stuff, but I love college football too. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, just generally I just love getting ready for college football, and I love that we're getting out of, we're finishing up preview mode. We're finishing that up, and now we're okay, now let's actually talk ball. Let's actually talk ball. Please, ESPN and Big Ten and Fox and all of you, shut up. Okay, so the main thing that I do want to get to today, there were some other topics I wanted to hit on, but I figured I'm I wrote out a whole list of names guys that I've seen in camp that I just want to highlight for one reason or another. Not that I really want to highlight, but just like, hey, they're there. I want to talk about them. This is, talking season. This is Bruins season. This is secret season. So, what can we actually talk about of this football team right now before week 1 and the season actually gets going? Camp's been exciting. There's a lot of, great exciting parts. There's a lot of senior leadership. There's a lot of, freshmen that are getting after it. There's some impressive parts. There's some, parts where you're like, okay, that needs to improve. That needs to improve. It's fun. It's for me, watching, just watching these guys just like get after it every day. It has just been very, very fun to, know that football is back. This is truly what it is. A lot of people, when they think of football season, they think of the tailgates. They think of the parties on Saturday. They think of flying a flag of their alma mater's emblem on there. Think of all that stuff. But I think of the sport as truly like these guys going through a true grind. And I have to appreciate that more than I appreciate the tailgates, which is absolutely true. That is what I do love. I love the part of these guys getting better, and I love watching it. I love watching the building blocks happen. So on the record, football happens 12, 13, 14, if you're that good at it, 15 times a year. But for these guys, football happens for months, for many days of the week, for many hours of the day, for many sleepless nights, for many, restless mornings. Football happens for these guys many, many hours of their days. And part of this experience of trying to learn more about the football team that is in this community is to watch the grind of it. The hard parts. I'm not saying I got to watch them roll out of bed at freaking 4:30 in the morning or anything like that, but the practice part, that is very, very essential. It's as essential as, the recruiting coverage, which, as I do my best to keep up with it and, try to meet some of the recruits that come in that are on the radar, this, that, and the other. I try to single out some players that I want you to know through that process too. That's all important too. Those are part of the building blocks too. You can't have guys on practice until you recruit them into the facilities, of course. But now they have to actually go through it, and that's when the reel gets going. So essentially what I have right here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 30 names right here that I just want to single out for a bunch of different reasons. I have them grouped up. I have some seniors, I have guys that are hurt, and everything in between. I'm going to try to keep this around 30 minutes, but I'm not going to do a great job at it, knowing me. About a handful of guys that are hurt or just haven't participated. Started out in camps, but have not made it, at least through camp episode 9, I guess. Ali Abdul-Bar, Ishan Stewart, Hamza El-Zayat, 3 receivers. Ali Abdul-Bar is I think he's a freshman. He's a walk-on status, I believe. The speed that he was at least participating at, he stopped practicing about... I don't know. It was in the first half. He announced it on Twitter that he tore his ACL, so he's going to miss the 2022 season. He was at least keeping up with the twos. I don't know if he was going to be on pace to play in 2022. I'm not going to go so far to say that, but I will go so far to say that he was on pace to at least be on the field in 2023 and beyond. He had that kind of potential to him. At least run with the twos this year and going into next year too. I think he was in a good spot for that. He well positioned himself in his early goings, so I'm excited for him to bounce back from this ACL tear because that's really nasty. And he's a Georgian guy that Eastern would love to say that they got him out of the rough, because I don't think he had any offers, at least not any FBF offers. I'd have to double check that. Ishan Stewart, he transferred in last year from Oregon State. Hamza El-Zayat transferred in this year from Fordham. Dearborn guy. But he is coming in here for his grad and transfer year. Ishan Stewart, I think he has 1 or 2 years left now. But they started out camp, and I believe they are both hurt. At least they haven't. They weren't in Camp 9. And Aaron Hamilton, he was on the 2 deep. He's a defensive end. He was on the depth chart, I should say. He was a third stringer, but I just have not seen him so far in camp. So nothing to report on him other than he just hasn't been there. All right, looking at some seniors, I got about 6 guys here that I want to single out. I just want to start with Jose Ramirez. He's the voices that you've heard so far, just yelling in camp. You know, he was at Mac Media Day. He's really, really approachable. He's a really funny guy, just really, really chill dude. He's just been like a lot of fun to watch and like a lot of fun to talk to, and he seems like a great leader. And you know, I'm not going to be surprised at all when he gets named when he gets named captain for the team once that becomes official. I don't have any intel on that. I'm just saying. And I'm also going to say Russ Vaden for that. You know, Russ Vaden's been a great leader for the team. He's been great to listen to through spring, heading into fall. Both of those guys have been great leaders. A thing I need to single out about Jose has nothing to do about his ability to play football or anything in that regard. It's just the number that he wears. He did wear number 55, and I was listening to, and I don't listen to it often, but I was listening to the Mactions Call to Action podcast, and it sounds like Jose and Hassan Badoun didn't realize that they were going to do a jersey swap. Here's what I mean.
Why do you tell us your number and why you picked that number?
Really number 4 what y'all playing. Yeah. Oh, y'all laughing, I'm dead serious. Oh, y'all, I got number 4 this year because I'm trying to be like, there's a player on our team and he like one of the best like players I've ever seen in action. I just want to be just like him. So that's my number celebrity. But now I got number 4. Number 55, double nickels. I got it when I got here, and it wasn't. It wasn't no significance to it. It was just like a number I got. But I got number 4. First of all, because in my city, number 4 is a big number. But I wanted to dedicate like this season. I feel like this year I've been going through like a real spiritual journey with God, and I feel like everything I got to do is for God's glory. So that's my significance on that. Why I chose that number, and a little bit has to do with Haas too, though. So.
Wait. You actually had number 4 this year?
Yeah, don't worry about that. Calm down. Y'all want to be just like my boy.
I didn't even know this. This is new to me.
Hey, it's new to me too. Yeah, I just find out. But like I said, I'm trying to be like Haas, man.
I'm gonna give you my necklace, bro. Congratulations.
Like him. Thank you. See, I'm part of the team. Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
I love those guys so much. Opposite of him, so Jose, his position on the field, bull number 1, that seems like a lock. Always seemed like it would be. Like last year, he was awesome, so why wouldn't he? 2-time All-MAC defensive end, so yeah. Opposite of him, who really knows? Because after Mike Haney's injury, it was kind of like up in the air. Carter Stagner, he's not around on the team anymore, so there's already some depth concerns when that came to issue. But Grant Truman, you've heard his name before. It seems like he's going to get his first starts as an Eagle now. He's played in 43 career college games. That's between Eastern and JUCO, but it's pretty split between there. But yeah, I was kind of curious, like, who's going to be the other defensive end? And so I asked defensive coordinator Neil Nethery.
Yeah, going off of that, I was kind of looking at your guys' other DN spot opposite of Jose. What are you guys seeing about the candidates that you're looking to see start opposite of Jose this year?
There's 2 things. One is Grant has had a really, really good camp, really, really good spring. He's just really solid. And has probably, I shouldn't say that, he's past solid. He's been solid in years past. I think he'll be more of a playmaker for us and more productive. And then, we've got some young guys there that are going to have a chance to be on if we started today, there's several people that would also get time. It's just going to see who comes out of that group of guys.
A couple of receivers in this group. I'm going to put Dylan Drummond and Dennis Smith both in this conversation. Dennis Smith has 2 years of eligibility. Dylan Drummond, just this 1. Dylan Drummond, you know him, started out as a true freshman, got early playing time, grew into a starting role later on in the year, and has basically never really missed a game since then, except for like 1, maybe 2. But on Friday at the last open practice that I was at, he wasn't running with the receivers. It looked like he wasn't really like with the receiver drills, and like once the team was going like 11 on 11, he was fully active in punt return drills. So something that he's done since he was a true freshman as well. That position's between him and Haas really, but That's a conversation for another day. But no, it's actually a conversation for this day because Dylan Drummond, it looks like he is mostly, if not entirely, moved over to special teams. Who's to say? Yeah, I would have loved to, ask for comment about that. But after that practice, it was only voices that you'll hear later on in the programs. Sam Sewell, assistant coach and special teams coordinator, and running back Samson Evans, new RB1 on the team. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect there. I don't know if it's what the logic is there. But Dennis Smith, he has done a really good job for himself this camp. Like, regardless of anybody that's around him, in front of him, behind him, whatever, all of that is subjective. That's just like, name on paper, right? That's just ink on paper. When it comes to the end of the day, him and Taylor Powell, someone that we're gonna have to talk about later. Those two have connected pretty well. Like, you kind of like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like Ben Bryant, he seemed very, very comfortable and like loved throwing to Dylan Drummond. And this new quarterback, Taylor Powell, it seems like he really loves throwing to Dennis Smith in practices so far. He has a lot of great receivers to throw to. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's like, I got to throw it to Zach Westmoreland. Hassan Badoon. Dang it. Tanner. They'll never catch. I'm like, no, like, these guys catch everything. But like, it just seems like, going through the motions of like their body language, like it seems like those two have a good quarterback to receiver connection. So I wonder if the coaching staff is trying to maximize something there in their football relationship. Last senior I want to point out really quickly, tight end Aaron Jackson. He has 2 years of eligibility still, looks like. I don't know if he's going to play them both out. I don't know. I'm just speculating, I guess. I should probably edit that out. But Aaron Jackson, he is I generally don't know what to expect out of this tight end group, other than I think everybody's going to play, I guess. Like, I think we're going to see 4 guys this year out of this tight end group. 4 of them. But if I had to pick, if I were in charge of the team, I would pick number 3, Aaron Jackson, to be my tight end 1. I think he's built the most differently. And I think with this offense, which you love to throw the ball a lot. Like, this is an offense that shamelessly loves to throw the ball all over the place if and when it can. It needs a tight end. It needs a tight end to work. It needed, Odukoye to go from, he wasn't a receiver. Odukoye, if you rewind the tape a little bit, if you kind of like look back at, the JUCO days that he was playing at over in California, which wasn't like a high level, like he wasn't playing for like City College San Francisco, right? He wasn't a huge receiving threat, I don't believe. He was a big blocking threat. Like, he was very respected, and even in his first goings on the field for Eastern in like 2019, I think 18 too, but he wasn't a huge like receiving guy. That wasn't really his thing. It was, Bryson Cannon more so, the other JUCO guy that they got, who doesn't even wear gloves. He was more of the receiving threat than Odukoye. And then Odukoye, once he wore 2, he was starting to get more involved in the pass game. But they still need guys to produce over the middle out of that tight end game. You can only do so much with Gunnar Oaks and Jair Gesselminger. I totally butchered his last name, 83. You can really only do so much with them. They're going to definitely see the field a lot. But Aaron Jackson, I think, and I've talked about it before, just his profile, his build, because he did play quarterback in high school. He was a dual threat quarterback when he signed with the team. He even practiced with the team as a quarterback and all that stuff, his early goings with the team. Now that he has that ability that he kind of grew up with, and like that kind of skinniness to him, then he bulked on top of that. He has a different skill set than the other guys. And like, his journey to being a D1 football player looks differently than the other ones. So he's going to add something different in the offensive game, just a little bit. But like, even generally, like, I think Aaron Jackson, I would just trust him generally, just normal, just regular every down plays. Like, if I had to say, I want the offensive philosophy to have not a tight end by committee so much as like, I would love all my tight ends to get involved, but I do want a tight end 1 to actually stand out in this room, which means one tight end has to see the field 50 to 60% of the time if anybody out of this group, and I would pick number 3. I think he has a lot of ability to move the ball, down forward as a receiver. I want to be clear, like as a receiver, like he's a good option out of that tight end room. They have other options too, but Aaron Jackson right now, if I had to pick someone for 12 weeks this year to make a run at a MAC championship, perhaps Aaron Jackson, I would want the most out of his athleticism. Some new guys that we got to hit on. I got a lot of clips to share here. I'm going to pair 2 together here, but there's 3 running backs we're going to start with. The first 2 we're going to start with Sebastian Tolan, Elijah Jackson Anderson. Sebastian Tolan, he's a walk-on. I think he got started out at Northern Michigan a little bit. He's a 2018 high school graduate. Elijah Jackson Anderson just recently graduated. He's a new freshman on the team. I've liked both of them so far. And Sebastian Tolan, in short order, no pun intended, I would kind of give him the scouting. My scouting report says that he is the tiny guy glitch from Madden, and Elijah Jackson Anderson. So far he's just been pretty good so far. I don't really have too many notes on there. I haven't been focusing too hard on the running backs like that. But yeah, here's Coach Sewell.
Talked about some of the new guys that are on here. What have you seen out of like Sebastian Tolan and new 30 Elijah? New guys that have come in, and this is like their first camp with Eastern.
Yeah.
What have you seen out of them?
So we're super excited about Sebastian. Sebastian walked on to the team. He actually came to a walk-on tryout.
Yeah.
And somebody like that is willing to walk on, go to a tryout, and just fight his way onto the team. Like that fires you up. And it was a deal where when he walked on, he was down there on the scout team, and the defense is saying every single day, like, hey, we can't tackle this kid. We're having problems. So we're excited about Sebastian. He's doing an excellent job, and he knows the offense. He asks great questions. He takes great notes. So we're excited about him. And Elijah, as a young freshman, still figuring it out. I don't know if there's somebody on the team that plays harder every play than Elijah does, whether it's offense or special teams. So we have some young guys we're fired up about. In the running back room, we don't have any seniors. So we've had these guys for a little while, and we're going to have them for a little while.
Jalen Jackson is a shorter running back, comes over from Lamar. He's definitely more the speed threat, definitely has really good hands. So if I had to trust somebody to, catch the ball to the backfield and make a big play, I guess I would trust him over others. I don't know. He's kind of shown an ability with Lamar, but he does have, more to prove now that he's with Eastern, of course. But yeah, he, unlike some other running backs, like he's in the mix, or is at least practicing with the punt return guys. He's kind of getting his reps in there, and he's done pretty well. He hasn't embarrassed himself out of the room and just no, you're just a running back only. No, he's still hanging on there. He's still hanging on. So I kind of asked Coach one more question.
They're stronger than others in the running back room. Some guys are faster. Some guys have better hands. And like one of the transfers, Jalen Jackson, he's getting in on the punt and kick return action too. How important is it to have guys with different kind of skill sets all fit in the same running back room?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we say all the time is that, to be a great back, you have to be great in all facets, right? So you have to be able to run it, to catch it, and to protect the passer. And the way that we operate on offense, we can't put guys in just to do certain things. This is not how we roll. You got to be able to go in there and do it all. Now, when it comes to building a room, we like guys of all shapes and sizes. So you'll see Samson, who's 6'1", 230 pounds, and then you'll see Jalen Jackson, who's 5'7", 180 pounds. So we got guys of all types,
right,
all shapes and sizes. That's how we want it. We want a bunch of different skill sets. But when it comes down to those guys, it's not like one guy says, "Oh, I just do these things." Mm-hmm. Even though maybe on Saturdays, those guys that do things a little bit more, okay. But when it comes to them to a man, they're going to say no. I have to be able to do it all.
Jalen Jackson's 5'8", 165, just so you know I wasn't kidding about the small guy stuff. Sebastian Toland, let me see where you at. He's listed at 5'8", 186. So a little bit of a build on him. The smallest guy on the team, though, is Chris Gundy. Incoming guy from Navy, has full eligibility. 5'8", 158. Not even 160, 158 listed. Yeah, he looks every bit of it. Quick guy, though. I like him. He's got really quick hands, you know. And I mean that... And like, securing the ball away. I mean, like, as soon as, like, the ball's in his hand, it's already, like, you know, cradled away. Now, can he compete at the D1 level yet? I don't really know. He's not, like, standing out with the ones in any one category, but he is an interesting watch. He's kind of getting in the mix, you know, to be a slot receiver, of course, and as a kick returner. If he's going to see the field this year, kick returner or punt returner, one of those two, those are going to be his entry points onto the field in 2022. But I don't think that the scope of his career is going to be like a breakout true freshman year. I don't think that's going to be really in the cards for him. But he is someone that like has kind of caught my attention because he's the smallest guy on the team. But he's, you know, he's pretty cool. I like him. Darius Lassiter, he's a JUCO receiver, wears number 10. First year with the team, came over from Butler. 6'3", 200 pounds, has a couple years of eligibility. I think he still has a ways to go, but he's a good-sized target. Last I saw on Friday, he was running with the twos. So it'd be interesting to see if he actually does see the field too much this year. I don't know. I don't really know because they do have other big targets like I'm going to mention him later, but like Zach Westmoreland, of course. You know, he's a returning guy that they felt, you know, they thought the world of him when they got him. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, okay, we need a tall receiver, 84, you're out there. I don't think Lassiter is going to be the first pull for that, but you know, I'm open to being, you know, wrong about that. I don't care. That's totally fine. But as of right now, Lassiter, he's running with the twos, which is pretty good for him so far. Joe Sparacio, he is one of the two transfer linebackers. Comes over from Boston College, has 1 year of eligibility. Actually, was recruited by Chris Creighton and co. out of high school. So yeah, I you know, was able to talk to him after one of the practices and was able to ask him one thing. Well, a couple things, actually.
You know, I'm sure like when you're going through a big period, when you're going from starting at one school, transitioning to transfer over here, you go from I want to be there to no, now I actually belong now that you're going through it. Have you had that second part that I just said where you're like, no, now that I'm going through the motions, now I actually belong here at Eastern?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I really stepped foot here, I felt like I belonged here. Like I said, the people here was a big part of that. They made me feel welcomed. But this summer, or this spring and then into summer, getting to know the team, getting to know the coaches personally was definitely helpful in that and becoming a leader on the defense and the team. I took strides toward that this offseason.
And I understand you were recruited by this coaching staff out of high school too. You know, how important was that in your recruiting process and now that you're gelling yourself in here?
Yeah, kind of made it a no-brainer. It was really a God thing. You know, when I was in the portal, Coach Nethery and Coach Creighton's name came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of forgot about him a little bit, but it was a no-brainer. Once they called me, it was this guy right here. It was a no-brainer. Coach Creighton and Coach Nethery. As soon as I talked to them, like it was so easy, and it was really a blessing because I love it.
And of course, like you're standing next to another transfer linebacker in Chase Klein. How is it working alongside another experienced linebacker like him?
It's great. You know, there's a lot of experience in our whole room, but you know, Chase, you know, another Power 5 guy coming in. Our whole room has experience. I know like Terry left, but Tariq, Justin, like I said, all those guys have experience, and they were big helpers in helping me understand the defense and teaching me this offseason and summer.
A couple of cornerbacks that just came in from the JUCO routes as well. Joshua Scott, Keelan Gully. Keelan Gully, he out of high school was originally like an Iowa commit. That didn't happen, of course. And then Joshua Scott came in from City College of San Francisco. He was in for the spring. Gully didn't come in until the summer and now camp. So those two guys, they're going to be working themselves into the cornerback playing room definitely very soon. Joshua Scott, I think, is definitely ahead of the game. I think he's yeah, he's going to be a heavy piece in the rotation. Gully, if I had to pick, has got like a little bit more of a ways to go out of the two, but I don't think he's like incompetent or like can't hang or anything like that. I just think he's got a little bit more ways to go than the other guys that are in front of him. I mean, like there's a lot of returning pieces. Like I'm going to mention two guys that I think are going to start, but then I'm still going to be leaving off like a returning senior that they've been waiting to come back, which is like Corey Hernandez. But yeah, those two cornerbacks, they're two new guys that are useful additions for the for that spot with some youth too. Earlier I said the smallest guy on the team, Chris Gundy. Here's the biggest, Javon Brown, 345 from Independence Community College, interior defensive lineman. Look, I don't know exactly if he's going to be like a number 2 or a number 3, probably a number 3 right now out of camp, but he's definitely going to see the field at some point. It's going to be way too hard to not have a guy like that. He has a lot of strength, man. I know I just told you he's 345, but yeah, he has a ton of strength. I do expect to see that on the field in some capacity. I don't know if it's going to be as like the third interior defensive lineman or if he's, somebody that shines in special teams at some point and blocks a kick. I don't know how that's going to come through, but it's going to be way too hard for guys to like, especially like young linemen that are like entering their redshirt freshman year, sophomore years. It's going to be hard for them to go up against a guy like him, especially if he like adds something quick to his game. I don't have like too great of a lens on that. But if he does have like something quick, something speedy off the line to like really add an element to his 345-pound advantage over a lot of people, that'll be something to watch. Last new guy to talk about, Taylor Powell, of course. He's solidly, quarterback 1. He's done well. I don't really have anything too negative to say about him. Like he's done fine. He has had his turnovers. He hasn't been perfect. There have been some fumbles on handoffs. There have been some interceptions, but I'm not gonna, knock it too badly. I'm just not also gonna make the world out of, how Creighton said that he completed 81% of his passes in the spring. I'm just not gonna make too big of a deal out of that because I don't know if anybody's gonna. I don't think he's gonna like keep up with 80% into the season. That's just not a sustainable thing. I also don't know if he's going to hit 70% in the season, but it'd be interesting to see. It's always interesting to see. I hate saying that. But yeah, I did ask Samson Evans, it's kind of a weird question to ask a running back. If I ask like the receivers, like, hey, how are you helping your quarterback break into the system? I've done that before, but for a running back, also the guy who, you do have to throw to him every once in a while. Samson Evans, he's not entirely the captain of the team. He does have a brother on the team, which is great. But he, the 2020 season, it was kind of hard for him to get gelled with the team because, just everything of, the COVID year and all that stuff. And then he caught mono the year after that. So it's kind of hard for him to like really stay with the team 100%. But he has grown into a starter. So he does have some expectations around him as a running back. So I was kind of curious, like, hey, do you feel any expectations to kind of help your quarterback, kind of get going this year?
And last one, we talked about like some other incoming running backs that you're kind of helping up here, but you also have like a new quarterback right next to you. What kind of responsibilities do you have to get him ready for the season?
Personally, Taylor has done a phenomenal job getting himself ready. He's put in the most hours I've seen anyone put in. He's really taken it as a job, and he's put in the time and effort, and there's no question that he's going to be ready, and is ready.
All right, last group of guys that we got to hit on. All right, I said 30 minutes. It's all going to sound differently in post-production. I got about 3 minutes left, so, we're doing pretty good here. But I have 11 names left. Receivers, J.B. Mitchell, Zach Westmoreland. Zach Westmoreland is, of course, he's been more than Mitchell, of course. He has been, like, floating with the ones and with the twos. I think the ones are the ones, minus the aforementioned situation earlier about Drummond. I don't really know there. But Zach Westmoreland, they're definitely going to like pepper him into, a starting role as the season goes on. I think he's going to be trusted with a lot more snaps as the season goes on. He's just a good, talented target. I do want to see like what an elevated version of himself looks like. You know, I don't know what his true potential is as a receiver. He's, you know, a good target and all that stuff, but I don't know how much he'll raise the ceiling for EMU's offense. It's just one of those things where, you know, now that we know who EMU's torchbearers were, now we have to kind of find out who they're going to be moving forward to. Because Taylor Powell's not going to be here next year. Austin Smith, TBD if he's going to be the starter. Who knows if Eastern's going to get somebody else out of the portal to start in front of him again, or if I don't know what happens. I don't know. Maybe Arch Manning just flips to Eastern. Who knows? But Westmoreland, a lot of potential in him. JB Mitchell, I love him. He's really, really fun to watch, number 17. He runs with the twos a lot, but I think he definitely has starter potential. I don't see why he wouldn't. He's just really, really electric. I just want to see him like catch the ball and get like a little bit of open space, and just to see like what he does against like a DB one-on-one live. I wonder what that scene would look like, because I haven't been able to see that yet, but I think he'd be able to like make some guys look ridiculous out there. A couple guys that I think are going to start at cornerback: Mark Lee, Kempton Shine. Both of these guys have 3 years of eligibility left. Actually, I just need to point this out. Everybody in this last group, Mitchell, Westmoreland, Lee, Shine, and everybody else on this list that you're going to hear, either have 3 or 4 years of eligibility remaining. So if you're hearing all this and you're like at home and you're reading the roster and you're kind of reading like sophomore, freshman, sophomore, senior, don't get caught up in all that stuff. Just know the eligibility numbers. That's more important. But Lee and Shine, you know, Shine is like the prototypical, like, you know, shorter than like most receivers he's going to go up against, you know, probably lighter too, but I love the fight in him. He's not like totally perfect. He's not super polished and all that stuff, but man, does he learn from his mistakes, and man, does he just like get better with every mistake he makes out there. If that makes any sense. Like, I love the fight in him. Like, there's just like no quit. He's just awesome. He's a personal favorite for me. Mark Lee, much lankier, number 17, in-state guy. He is wearing a hand cast. I don't remember on which hand. I don't have it written down. I'm not even going to look at my notes, but he does have a hand cast right now, but it's not keeping him from playing. He's performing well. He's awesome. He's going to do a good job. I lied. He's not an in-state guy. He's from Columbus. At linebacker, neither of these guys are starters, but moving forward, at least one of them probably will be. Justin Jefferson probably will be moving forward after Sparacio and Klein get out. Well, Klein's got 2 years of eligibility. Does Klein have 2 years of eligibility? Jeez, Klein has 2 years of eligibility. But Justin Jefferson, I think he's going to grow up into a good role. He's doing pretty well for himself so far. I don't think he's starter good right now, but I think he's definitely growing into a starter role down the line, maybe next year. But he's practicing well so far, and so is Zach Mauchan. He's not like the most impressive guy out there. He's, you know, third string linebacker, you know, running with the threes out there. So I'm not, when the threes are running live, he's not the one position I'm watching. I'm going to be totally honest there. I'm usually watching the guys in the trenches, sometimes offensive line. So my lens is a little bit skewed, but Zach Mauchan, it seems like he's been making some plays out there. He's very active out there. I don't know if that's adding any safety to, or any like assurance to him getting onto the field in the future. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, who knows. But he's at least participating well. I like seeing him out there. In the line, D-line, Alex Merritt, of course, he's a returning starter. One of the young guys that's been doing well for himself. He got hurt at some point in practice, but he's back on the field. Is in full participation as of, Friday's practice. Peyton Price, he hasn't had a tackle for loss yet, but he is an interior defensive lineman that saw pretty much every game as a true freshman last year. This team thinks the world of him, so he's of course going to have a really big season. Don't be surprised there. And Carter Evans, we were talking about defensive ends earlier. He's a guy that's definitely in contention. I would not be surprised if he ends up being, a late season long-term answer. And heaven forbid if there's any injuries that have to happen to either of the defensive ends, I would not be surprised if Carter Evans is, a front runner candidate to fill in for player X. Andres Paski, 6'7", a tight end out of Denmark. He's practicing pretty well. I see him growing up, a redshirt freshman. He has a long ways to go. I think he's gonna be a fan favorite for sure because he is a 6'7", 250-pound tight end. That is absolutely how you draw up tight ends. That's exactly what you want in your tight end room. And so far, he's a pretty good pass catcher. Not excellent, but he's pretty good. I think, I don't know. I just want to say, be a little bit hesitant with your expectations when it comes to him. Don't think that he's going to be, I don't know, just don't think he's going to be like a pass catching tight end extraordinaire out of the gate. I think that's a little extreme of like an expectation or a ceiling to even really like put on him right now. You don't really know. You just don't know what his ceiling is. You can say anything you want and be like, oh yeah, I think his potential is EMU Football Hall of Fame. I don't fucking know. First round draft pick. But just temper your expectations a little bit. He's still growing into a position that's really hard to grow into. Not to say it hasn't been done before. Like this is, a coaching staff that's proven that they can get guys from overseas to do well at this position. I'm not going to be surprised when it does happen. Just don't expect it to happen all right away his second year at Eastern Michigan. There's guys in front of him that he'll have to learn from. There's experience for him to be had. Like there's a lot of opportunity for him to see the field. I just don't think that he's going to be getting all of the receptions or all the targets that maybe you might expect heading into the year. Last guy we're going to talk about still has 4 years of eligibility. Quarterback Austin Smith. Right now he's the number 2. And I think he'll definitely end up being the number 2. I think he'll just be the 2 the entire season. But there's a lot of growth that has to happen for him between now and the spring of 23. And I hate that, that's the lens I'm working with to end this on. But there is a lot that he has to work on with his accuracy. And I think his accuracy, that's like such an easy cop-out. That's such an easy cop-out, answer to talk about when it comes to quarterbacks. I'll say processing speed a little bit. And that's not to say like anything like bad about him or anything. It's just like a thing he needs to develop as a quarterback is just his processing speed and like getting quicker at his decision making generally. Because he is multifaceted. He just needs to, pick something and go sometimes, I think. Yes, he needs to, learn how to sit back and get the right read on a defense and make the right throw and all that stuff. And that takes many, many reps, which is why I say he has to improve on his processing speed. He has to see that many, many times in practice before he actually can put it onto the field and make great decisions downfield and move the offense. He's just not totally there yet. I wonder if his best chance seeing the field this year, because Powell's good and all, but that this team's going to pepper in both quarterbacks. Like Smith's not going to see 25% of the snaps. Like that's not going to be the case. It won't be that kind of split even. But I do think Smith is going to play some offense this year because he has a different skill set than Powell. Powell's a much better thrower, but Smith's a much better runner. And so I think if Eastern finds itself in some short field situations, I think Smith would be a really good option for that. They've done before. Like Eastern knows how to run an offense with multiple, like quarterbacks of different skill sets. They've done option quarterbacks before. They've done mobile guys before. They've done guys that can throw on the run and can't throw on the run. They know what plays they can run with Powell and what plays they can't run with Smith. So I think if Eastern wants to open up its playbook more, then that means Smith is going to see the field more. But it's going to have to find itself in, close field situations and maybe situations that they don't honestly want to put Smith in just yet. But they do need to throw him out into the wolves. They do need to put him out into the fire. And they do need him to show that, hey, he's not going through a freshman learning curve. He's a developing sophomore. And the next 3 years after this are going to be electric because You know, he's proven himself, but he does need to prove himself. You know, and Smith, you know, in practice, he's doing just fine. But this year, moving forward, knowing his role, knowing, you know, the situations where he can see himself on the field, he just needs to know that he can dominate the limited percentages of snaps that he's going to see in 2022.